Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. My name is Chris Salem, your host. Hope everyone is having a great week. We are so excited again that the show continues to grow because of you, the listeners, each and every week joining us here at the TALRadio platform. Hope that you are receiving a lot of value here at TALRadio with a wide array of different content and hosts that are sharing content that can help elevate you and your business to the next level. And again, we are committed every week in bringing in subject matter experts to help you in your influence and taking your business to a whole new level, as we like guests to share from their personal experience and insights that align with where you are and where you desire to be. If you are just finding us for the first time, you found us here at TALRadio, but we're also on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube as well. That way, depending upon your preference, you could watch the show each and every week on any of those different platforms. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program. It takes out all the noise out of social media. No more of those noisy notifications. You get to come in and generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. In addition to being a membership program, you'll be privileged to be eligible for a wide array of different services that are not available to the general public when it comes to both professional and personal development and things that can help you in your career and business. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got an exciting show for you today. I am so excited about this topic because this is something right now that is something that any leader, regardless of title, wants to tune into. And you're going to want to get to know our guest a little bit better after the conclusion of today's show and the things that she'll be sharing. We're going to be talking about the regulated leader. Now, when you think about that, you might jump to have an assumption or speculation of what that is. But what you're going to hear is something that is the truth, something that each and every one of us as leaders at certain times, maybe more than we care to do, that we react to situations and other people. Well, we're going to find all about what we can be doing better in that area as a regulated leader when it comes to our nervous system health. Yes, who would have factored that in, right? Well, you're going to be hearing from Juliana Allen. She is our subject matter expert today. Juliana is an executive director and somatic experiencing practitioner in training who specializes in bringing trauma-informed somatic lenses to organizations and teams. She empowers values-driven organizations to build resilience from the inside out, bridging regulation, authenticity, and systems change to foster sustainable leadership. And without further ado, we welcome Juliana Allen to the show. How you doing, Juliana?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
Yes, we are so excited. And, we always like to start the show, about around the topic, even some of the background about this particular area, about the regulated leader. Mm-hmm. If you could give us some background about what that is, what does that mean, and anything personal, with your journey and experience that you'd like to tie into that.
Yeah. So I'm an executive director of a nonprofit. I've had this role for a couple of years, but prior to that, I ran a business for about 6 years. And so I've built businesses. I've built nonprofits, and what I have come to realize over the course of these, 10 years in being in this kind of environment is that people are burning out at a rate that is not okay, right?
Yes.
We spend so much time like putting our values into these organizations and into these structures, and then you're burnt out, and then you don't want to do it anymore, and then like X, Y, and Z, right? And so bringing this conversation of nervous system regulation from the body instead of from the head down, right? It's so important to changing the structures and the systems that we're all operating in, because we all know how to build businesses, but when you're dysregulated and your team is dysregulated, it's you're on the path to burnout.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I always see like in organizations how people react. They just react to each other, whether if it's somebody's behavior, what they said, their attitude, their emotions, their lack of action, or whatever it may be. It seems like people are reacting more than ever to the control they can't control.
Yeah.
And this is where the regulated leader that you talk about and is so valuable and what's going to help offset some of these issues that are costing companies millions and millions of dollars, like you said, with burnout and lack of retention because of not addressing it at the root level. And if you could share with us, Juliana, that insight from your experience and what you're doing, practicing this each and every day and helping other leaders to do the same.
Yeah, so I work in a nonprofit setting, right? So my lens is often like my board, so my staff that I have and then the board of directors. And what I have seen when I first started in this role was a board meeting that everyone is yelling at each other. And it's the whole thing is just chaos. And so when you have a leader in that role that doesn't know how to, set those boundaries and doesn't know how to stay calm themselves, like it's just going to escalate. And then everybody is amped up and everybody is yelling. So the thing about having a person in leadership that understands how to stay connected to their bodies and how to respond appropriately, because regulation doesn't always mean calm. And that is a key piece that I see that misinformation a lot,
Yeah.
is that people think like, oh, I have to be really calm in order to be regulated. No, absolutely not. Nervous system regulation is about responding appropriately and then being able to return to the baseline. So I view nervous system regulation as like, I can go up, I can go down, and then I can return to this calm baseline. But it doesn't mean not getting activated when the situation calls for it. So it's really about teaching our people in leadership, business owners, nonprofit leaders, whatever it may be, how to stay in touch with their body, how to have this grounded center, and then being able to respond appropriately to whatever circumstance is going on.
Yeah. Because I mean, people, deal with stress in different ways. And like you said, the body doesn't lie, right? The body is always sending messages to us of things that either are unresolved or something we have to tend to. And now are we listening to that? And if you could share with us, what as leaders, what should we be looking for when we feel like that we're not calm or we're not handling these situations in a better way? Again, no fault of their, because you don't know what you don't know, but what can we be doing differently?
Yeah, we're not often taught. So I want to take any sort of shame out of this conversation, because this lens of looking at organizations, it is new. It's a newer way to look at things, right? Like the conversation about somatic work. Somatic just means body. So instead of, I can think all these different things, it's how can I learn to listen to my body and then use that in how I respond to whatever situation is going on. So the first piece is learning how to be in touch with your body and learning how to listen to those subtle cues. The way that I like to summarize it when people are just starting out is notice, and then get curious. Those are the two, if I can give just like two pieces of advice on like how to start. It's like okay, let's say you're in a board meeting and people are whatever. Notice how that feels in your body. Just notice that and then
Yeah.
get curious about it. And then it just leads from there. It's not easy to do because we're
Yeah.
just not taught. And often the environments that we're in are not supportive of us listening to our bodies.
Yeah. I think this is so important. I wish, a lot of times a lot of times you see this in bigger organizations, like, their EAPs, the employee assistance providers will maybe bring in people to talk on various wellness topics, but they'll talk about emotional intelligence and mental well-being and, certain things like that. But oftentimes what they don't do is they don't connect the dots to the things that are impacting their, like, all these issues. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, let's talk about emotional intelligence. Okay, great. Well, what do I, but no one's going to identify with, if they can't, oh my God, my retention issue is, because it could be linked to that, or people being absent can be linked to that, or people not being productive can be linked. Oh my God, maybe we should bring somebody like Juliana to come in and talk to us about this type of thing.
Yeah, I am a big, obviously that's where my training is in somatic world. But until we fix the systems and the structures that we live in, like I love therapy, I love one-on-one work, right? But if you're in all these wellness programs and all these emotional intelligence and everything, but until you are supported in the structure that you spend so much time in and so much energy in, you're going to keep returning to those same issues.
Yeah.
So those key pieces of how can we build the foundation of this organization, of this business, to support our people, to support a healthy nervous system, to support resilience in a different way. Like that is just, it's so critical and it's so key. And I'm so excited to be having these conversations with business owners and, nonprofit leaders and all the people in these spaces, because it's just foundational and it's key.
It is key, and it is key. It's so, so important, even at the highest level. And, share with us, like you said, this isn't something easy. This isn't something you flip a switch, you watch an hour webinar, or you do for an hour, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, you're a regulated leader overnight. No, this is something that takes some time, because it's like something it's not hardwired into us. We have to, it's almost like we got to rewire our, not necessarily rewire, but in a way, we got to do certain things that we've never done before. Share with us, like, some of the things, like, no matter where you are, what your title is, that you could be the example of this in your organization that can inspire people to now want to know what can they do that for themselves.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you're in a board meeting, you're in some kind of meeting, and first thing, right? Just notice, right? Things are going on around you. Just start to say, what's up with my body? That's all you have to do. Step one, right? Mm-hmm. So then you notice it, you get curious about it, and then you think to yourself, okay, what can I do in this moment that my body's asking me to do? It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Like I understand how simple it sounds, but it is that first step, is just beginning to notice what your body is asking and then doing it.
Yeah.
Which is harder than you would. It's harder because as a leader, you have about 1 million things to do. About 1 million people need something from you. And so for you to say as a leader, no, I need a minute.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And so by setting that example, though, of saying, I just need a minute. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to, take a breath. Exactly. Like we're just in this automatic mode of doing and going, and we don't ever stop to ask ourselves what our body's actually asking for. So I understand it sounds so simple, but that is the first step, and that's going to make the biggest impact, because it takes a lot of practice as well, because you have to keep doing it over and over and over. Like
you just said the key word. It's like with anything. If you've never done something before, let's say you want to lose 30 pounds, right? You've been overweight for a while. It's not like you're going to go to the gym or like eat something healthy one time and all that, and then you're going to lose 30 pounds. You got to keep going. You got to keep eating a certain way for it. And that consistency, or first that discipline of doing it, then that consistency is what is going to eventually help you to get to that, where it now becomes more of a routine. That's what I love what you just said there. That really stood out for me, and I'm sure the listeners as well.
It's, people often make things more complicated than it needs to be. And being a regulated leader is actually a very simple process. I didn't say it was easy. I said it was fairly simple. Like, you notice what's coming up in your body, and then you do the thing that your body's asking you to do. Yeah. Regardless of what's going on in your circumstance, because I guarantee you this 50 emails will still be there.
Yep.
regardless of if you take a breath or not, regardless of if you go on a 5-minute walk. So being able to do that is a really big skill, and it's simple, not easy.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself, like, it's okay to give yourself permission. I don't have to react. I can respond, but if my body is saying to me, I can't respond properly where I'm at right now. Okay, I got to remove myself. Hey, I'm going to let's take a 10-minute break. You can just I got to go to the bathroom. You can use that as the excuse.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then come back. And if you're composed, like you said, I'm going to be able to respond better and more favorably than if I had just reacted, from where my body was telling me, don't do this, don't.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then you're like, don't do it. And so then there's this like tension inside of you. And like, then what's that doing to you? It's just your hand. And then, we can't think clearly when we're in this, sympathetic nervous system response. We can't think clearly. It kind of like, it shuts down that part of that brain that's logical. And
yes.
It just shuts it down. Like it just does. We've all seen it with kids, and it's gone once you're activated. It's the same with us. It's the same with leaders. None of us are immune to that. It is literally just your nervous system.
And it's so powerful what you're saying, because like a lot of times people can't, I guess, sometimes we as leaders, even leaders don't recognize it. They don't connect the dots. They're like, well, that sounds great. It sounds like a great wellness program. But, we got tight budgets. We have we have other priorities right now. Well, hey, imagine now you could be doing those priorities where people now are responding and they're more alert. Whereas now you got people reacting. These are the very things that that if you didn't take for granted, could be making a difference in your performance in your workplace culture overall.
It's foundational to a healthy organization.
Yeah.
It is a key piece that I see so often overlooked. It's like, what do your people need? And how are you as the leader setting the example? It's a foundational structure that is often just not built into the culture of an organization. And we see the ramifications of that. We see people leaving, we see burnout, we see whatever the issue is in your business, your organization. It stems from a place of the structure, the foundation not being solid and not supporting the people how they need to be supported. Because we spend so much time at work. We spend so much time there. And you can do all the one-on-one healing work that you want to do, all the therapy, but if you are put right back into a system that's not supporting you.
It's like with anything, right? If it's not supporting you, that's what's going to continue. Your output is a direct a result of what your input is.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it is.
And that's going to reflect out with your customers and your clients, and that connection is going to be like that.
Yep. I know it's so simple. Didn't say it was easy. I said it was simple.
Yes, it's simple, but not But
it's hard to implement.
But it takes it's one person at a time, right? So if you get somebody that's been disciplined, they become consistent, they start to see the changes. Then why can't another person? And then if it can just have a ripple effect. And you're never going to bat 1,000, right? There's always going to be that person or some people that just never get it, and they're going to be a cog in the wheel, like with anything. But if I increase my batting average, I like to use baseball as an example.
Sure, yeah,
that's going to be great in terms of my numbers.
Yeah, it is for sure. It is.
Wow. I love that. And I think this is so important. So share with us, like some of the things that you would do by working with a leader. Like if a leader were to say, hey, I got to make this a priority. It's like with anything. If I don't build a rock solid foundation for myself, how am I going to build a rock solid foundation for my team, let alone now the entire organization overall? It's got to start, I guess, at that person level, at that level. Share with us like what you would recommend for someone that's saying, hey, I want to delve into this. I'm going to start taking this seriously and doing something with it.
It starts with conversations with whoever is in the leadership position.
Yeah.
Starts with, where are you currently? You as a human, your team, and then your culture, your structure, your organization. Like, what are the key issues that you keep running up against? Because every person has their own nervous system. Every relationship has its own nervous system. Every organization, every business has its own, little nervous system
Yeah.
operation. And so in order to really effectively impact change, you have to understand where they're at, what works for them and what doesn't work for them, where they're lacking, where they're already skilled. And so you just start piecing it out from there and saying, okay, this is where you need a little bit more support. We're going to focus more on these very simple nervous system regulation techniques you can do during a board meeting that are going to calm you down during the moment. And another thing, it might be, okay, I'm having issues with my employees doing whatever. Employees are employees. They can really do, that runs the gamut, doesn't it? But it just depends on what the issues are and where people need the support. But it always starts with a conversation about what's working and what's not working.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like you gotta see what, like you said, if you don't know what you're dealing with, it's not like, cookie cutter. Every person is going to be different in how they're going to respond to fix what could be better and get the results that they're seeking, like you said.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
No, powerful story. And I really hope that, people listening right now, even if it's just, even if it takes one person to say, I get this, and I got to share this show with my leaders in my organ, or even leaders in my industry. Can we be the company or the industry that's going to really now address this at the foundational level and start making a change for the better long term? Because that's where they're going to get the results long term. It's not a short term fix, but it's a long term thing that can pay dividends if taken seriously.
It is. It's a new approach too. It's an alternative to traditional organizational psychology.
Yeah.
And, we can see patterns in how, the traditional psychology has just evolved over the years. And the somatic world, the body up world is really fairly new and or fairly new in the public, public eye. And so doing this work in organizations is just so critical and so key for the health of us all as human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. So true. I love this. And like you said, this is something that, I have an idea. I don't know this on this level like you, but I know what, when I changed my mindset, just on a mindset level, what it did for me. And now we can now listen to our bodies, because our bodies, like I said, they don't lie. They're always giving us messages, and we either choose to either listen or we ignore it. And unfortunately, as people, we tend to ignore these messages that the body keeps sending to us.
Yes, absolutely. It takes mindset work, which I also love, takes it to a different level.
Yeah.
It's really, things start in the body.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's the lens I'm looking at this through.
And it's like with anything, right? If you ignore it or stuff it, so to speak, it starts to build up. It's like an anchor, right? Builds up. And in some cases, I even seen it with my father. My father died of cancer at the age of 56, but he stuffed all these messages. His body kept sending them, I'm a firm believer of this, what you just said, and stuffed it, and it just built up like anything. It'll start to the point now where the body, it was no turning back. It became cancer in his body, and it killed him.
We're not taught how to listen to our bodies.
Yeah.
We just, unfortunately, we're not taught as children how to do that. And, we can see the ramifications of it, and it's not good because it doesn't go away. It will come out.
Yes.
It'll come out in anger at your spouse, at your kids, at what,
Anything,
it's
yeah.
going to come out. Like, I don't know how for you, but it's going to come
Well,
out.
I always say it comes out in five ways. It comes out in your communication to yourself and other people. In this case,
Mhm.
not in a good way.
No. Yeah.
It's your behavior, your
Yeah.
attitude, your emotions, and how you react, from those negative emotions, not responding, which is
Hmm.
a big difference. And then your action. Some people are maybe busy but not productive, or not laser focused on what's really important. They're kind of either taking the easy route or doing the things that are saying, "Hey, I'm busy because I don't want to address the things that are difficult because
Yep.
I don't want to expose myself,
Yep.
if for any weakness." And
Yeah.
now again, so it shows itself in those ways, I believe, that hold people back and hold companies back and industries back because of
For
it.
sure, for sure. And I also want to speak just a little bit to it's hard to listen to your body if your body hasn't been a safe place to be.
Yeah,
Because that's also a piece of it. And so having, this the somatic experiencing work that I do, it's trauma informed, right? Like
yeah,
everything is through this lens of, okay, we have to take all these factors into account. So, when you ask me, well, what do you actually do with the organization? Well, it depends on what the needs are. It
yeah.
depends on what this person is skilled at and what this person's background is and all these different things. It depends so much on the individual experiences.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Hmm.
And you have just given such a great kind of like segue into diving in deeper into this particular area. And definitely we'd like to have you come back on a future show to kind of do round two or elaborate further on the regulated leader. We'll have some more time to do that. I want, as we're near the end of the show, I wanted to make sure that this audience has a chance to now connect with you. What would be the best way for them to contact you? What are you up to? And anything that you'd like to share or provide them here on the show.
Yeah, people can connect with me either on Instagram or via my website. Those are both at Reclaim with Juliana. I offer speaking, workshops, and organizational resilience consulting. So you can find all that information on my website or Instagram, Reclaim with Juliana.
Great. And we'll make sure to put that all into the show notes as well. So that way people can reach out to Juliana. And if you reach out to us, we'll make sure to also connect you with her directly. Well, Juliana, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today. Just some valuable information that really uplifts our listeners, because this is why they come here to hear these powerful insights that they may not hear on an everyday basis. And these are the things that we have to hear. We may not like to hear it at first, but we have to hear, because these are the things that are going to start moving us towards a solution and start making improvements at a personal, team, and organizational level. So thank you so much for sharing that with us here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. If there is any questions that you have, again, we highly encourage you to reach out to Juliana based upon her contact information, or we'll make sure to steer you over to her. This is some great information. Don't let this bypass. Take action now. This is something that can really make an impact in your team, your organization, and most importantly, you at the personal level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back next week with another subject matter expert and another topic to help move your level of influence in business to the next level. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.